Coming up on Cronkite NewsWatch.
Next year's Super Bowl will bring a huge boost to the economy, but we'll tell you why it may not be all good news for Glendale.
And it was a big day today here at ASU Sky Song. I'll tell you what the U.S. Secretary of Commerce had to say about entrepreneurship in the Valley.
And homeowners associations strike again. Find out how the fight to save a lake turned into a whole new battle.
In-depth, insightful, innovative. Cronkite NewsWatch starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite NewsWatch. I'm Annalise Ortiz.
And I'm Tweela Nugent. Thanks for joining us.
U.S. Commerce Secretary Penny Pritzker is appointed by the president and charged with promoting the nation's business.
She's in Arizona today to check out the entrepreneurial opportunities in the Valley. Cronkite News reporter Hannah Lawrence joins us live with details.
The secretary told me that 40% of our country's economic growth has stemmed from innovation, and that innovation often generates from small businesses. The business incubator SkySong says it's had more than a $500 million impact on Greater Phoenix since opening in 2008. Today, U.S. Secretary of Commerce Penny Pritzker saw the sprawling facility firsthand.
It's a win-win for innovators, it's a win for students, it's a win for the university, it's a win for the private sector, it's a win for the economy, so it's exciting.
Just 1 week ago today, President Obama announced that $600 million would go towards competitive grants, which would help apprenticeship programs like those here at SkySong. Jerry Verbeck says government grants funded about 10% of his software developing company, which is huge given that startup costs totaled more than $10 million. And he says the patents the company now owns will bring far more than that.
When the rest of the world wakes up and realizes what we've done is a huge deal, well, we own all the patents.
And the revenue from those patents could generate jobs.
87% of people who go through an apprenticeship program get good jobs. So it's a very successful model.
SkySong currently houses 70 businesses, and that number is expected to grow when they finish their third building in August. Live in downtown Phoenix, Hannah Lawrence, Cronkite News.
A follow-up to the Super Bowl funding story we told you about in February, the city of Glendale won't be getting any financial aid from the state for hosting the big event.
Some lawmakers say there are better ways the money could be used. Cronkite News reporter Kimberly Hariza is live with the details. Kimberly?
The Super Bowl is one of the largest sporting events in the world, and with that comes high public safety costs. The city of Glendale will now have to cover those costs on its own.
Last year's Boston Marathon bombing brought a new level of security at public events and higher costs as well. House Bill 2547 was designed to reimburse cities for those additional costs, but the bill was rejected in the Senate on Tuesday.
The state's willing to spend an additional $2 million to promote people to come to the state when it's already sold out, but they're not willing to put $2 million up to make sure that the very people that they're trying to get here are kept safe.
But some legislators say there are more important places where that money could be spent.
Could be spent on education, it could be spent on health and welfare, it could be spent on autism, it could be spent in many very good places.
Glendale's mayor says the Super Bowl's $4 million in security costs means the city won't have money to cover even basic needs.
My citizens are going to bear the burden. More than likely, we'll be doing things like road repairs that we were wanting to do, probably pushing them even further back.
Glendale has already hosted one Super Bowl, and the mayor says the lack of additional funding means there won't be a third.
Mayor Wires says Glendale will still take the same safety precautions and provide the same amount of security for the Super Bowl, even though the city will not be reimbursed. Live in downtown Phoenix, Kimberly Hariza, Cronkite News.
3 of the nation's top 10 schools are right here in Arizona, and one of them is close to home. Basis Scottsdale ranked number 2 according to U.S. News and World Report. The school scored 100% for math, reading, and college readiness. More than 700 students attend the Scottsdale Charter School. Teachers there don't need the same requirements as a public school. One of the school's directors say teachers have a subject focus.
I think the teachers that we have here at Basis Scottsdale are content experts, and they are, superb in terms of their knowledge of their subject areas. That energizes the students because the students are here to learn, and it just kind of funnels its way down.
The other 2 schools that are ranked in the top 10 by U.S. News and World Report are also part of the BASIS system. They are Tucson North and University High School in Tucson.
5 state workers were fired today in connection with the nearly 6,000 uninvestigated child abuse cases. Charles Flanagan, head of the new Division of Child Welfare and Family Services, says he fired the senior employees at the center of the scandal for allegedly crafting a policy that resulted in ignoring state laws. One of the laws requires all complaints be investigated. An Ahwatukee neighborhood has been trying to save its lakes from real estate developers since 2008. But as Cronkite News reporter Brittany Bade tells us, the latest battle to raise awareness resulted in a new and unexpected enemy.
What you're looking at used to be a staple in the Ahwatukee community.
It's a perfect golf course for senior citizens to play. So we want to see it stay that way.
But Ben Holt tells Cronkite News he and his neighbors have run into a little problem, trying to save the lakes around the links.
All of us who had signs received a letter from the Ahwatukee Board of Management telling us that we were in violation and we had to remove the signs.
The Board of Management says the only signs allowed up in front yards are for sale signs or political issues. But Councilman Sal DeCiccio says the Save the Lake signs are a political issue.
My wife ordered a sign that said Save the Lakes. It's a political sign. Clearly it's protected.
The ABM says it's neutral in the battle between homeowners and the developers responsible for shutting down the golf course.
We're disappointed in that. We are members of Ahwatukee Board of Management, that they, in fact, should be supporting us in this battle.
Holt and many other members of the community are in the process of fighting the ABM's decision, but their main focus remains on getting their lakes back.
This used to be all green. This is the 12th fairway.
Holt hopes that someday soon the view from his patio goes back to being greener on the other side. In Ahwatukee, Brittany Bade, Cronkite News.
A vote on the Save the Lake signs will take place at an upcoming Ahwatukee board meeting, but that may have no bearing on whether the community will get its golf course back.
From saving the lakes to saving some four-legged friends. 2 months ago, these 5th graders at Scale Technology Academy in Tempe were asked to find a problem in the community. They chose homeless pets in their neighborhood, so they held a pet food drive. Many of the students in their class are either special needs students or English language learners. For Marianne, it taught her to think of someone besides herself.
I feel like every animal should have a home, just like every child should have a family.
These kids went above and beyond their goal. They collected 250 pounds of pet food.
Coming up on Newswatch.
Heroin deaths have nearly doubled in Arizona since 2006, and today studies show first-time users among teenagers is rising. Cronkite News investigates the trend.
A city program that is making neighborhoods safer and more beautiful. I have more coming up.
Kiss me. That's my kind of man. You've been creating quite a stir.
The winter you've been waiting for is on PBS.
You must choose either death or life.
All the drama.
There's going to be changes at downtown.
It's getting harder to say no.
The adventure.
The waves are breaking all around us.
And the spectacle of nature.
we're going to show how special these animals are.
Come in from the cold. Support the one place that can take you any place.
Drug overdose deaths and heroin abuse are on the rise in Arizona.
Cronkite News investigative reporter Katie Mickleseth looks into how misusing prescription drugs has led to another problem.
Authorities say teens have been using prescription drugs since 2006, when the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said the drugs had become a problem of epidemic proportions.
There has been an increase of it here, that we are hearing more mentions of it. We are hearing more students talking about it being in their schools, or even somebody they know using it.
He is talking about heroin. With authorities cracking down on prescription drugs, the use of heroin has become even more enticing.
Heroin deaths have doubled in the past decade.
According to the Arizona Department of Health Services, heroin deaths reached 49 in 2006, 89 in 2010, and the numbers continue to grow.
As the supply of prescription drugs got a little tighter, those users would switch to heroin because it was available, and in many cases it's cheaper.
Chris Sopa said her daughter used to abuse prescription drugs.
My daughter said it was like $30, $40 a pill, and it got so expensive. That's how she ended up moving to heroin, because heroin, she's like, I could get a little bag of heroin for 20 bucks.
A spokesman for Not My Kid, a nonprofit that helps at-risk youth, says first-time heroin use among teenagers is up 80%.
12 to 17-year-olds, and we're talking about a substance as nasty and dangerous as heroin. That's incredibly concerning.
Watson says the problem with heroin is escalating because of the potency of the drug and the ability to smoke it.
You're now seeing people using it who would never think of touching a needle.
Sergeant Thompson worked in the Phoenix Narcotics Department for over a decade.
Where they'll actually smoke it. Sometimes they would put it on aluminum foil, put a fire, and then the vapors, as it was vaporized, those would be inhaled.
According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, people who have used prescription drugs were 19 times more likely to have used heroin. This epidemic is showing up in people many would least expect.
I used to think of heroin addicts as, you know, the people you see on the street, dirty, holes in their clothes, all of that, and it's really not the case anymore.
For the Cronkite News investigative team, I'm Katie Mickleseth.
Heroin abuse is a problem in many age groups and in all neighborhoods. The connection between prescription drug abuse and heroin is very real. The DEA is holding a National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, April 26th, to keep these drugs out of unwanted hands. Go to justice.gov/DEA and type in your zip code to find a drop-off location in your community.
The city of Phoenix is trying to make neighborhoods safer with something you can't even see. Cronkite News reporter Cassie Clapp went to the site of one of the projects.
Neighborhood that has a lot of families with young children, and they say they like the effect the program is having on the neighborhood.
Rebecca Campus has lived a few doors down from this house for 2 years and hasn't seen anyone living there, but she likes the new upgrades.
I like it better because it's safer and you can see who enters and leaves, so I like it.
The city of Phoenix is doing an experiment. They're using what looks like a giant piece of plastic instead of the usual plywood to seal up vacant houses.
City of Phoenix employees say that this program is quickly expanding, and it's easy to see why.
It's harder for people who want to get in and rob from it.
Along with being more durable, the clear material makes the neighborhood look better.
It looks nice. It doesn't look ugly or anything. It looks pretty.
The house on the left next door is an example of what neighbors are used to seeing: plywood. A city ordinance requires anyone who vacates their home to board it up. If using this gets a thumbs up from the neighbors, the city ordinance could change, limiting the use of this.
That'd be really important to have to protect her more.
I'm told if the test program becomes an official ordinance, it'll affect about 500 houses every year in Phoenix. The new improvements cost about 3 times as much as the plywood, but the neighbors say they'd pay the price for the improvements. That would bring much more safety. In downtown Phoenix, Cassie Clapp, Cronkite News.
Coming up on NewsWatch.
There's a crew down here at the Verde River maintaining an invasive plant species in Arizona. We'll have more for you coming up next.
And it's been a relatively calm day here in the valley, but it won't last too much longer. I'll tell you next.
NewsWatch is one of the really big things I will always remember for the rest of my life.
You're lugging around all of your equipment, you are doing all of the work, and that's what makes it so fulfilling to me.
Being an anchor, I think, is a privilege. I enjoy every moment of it.
Seeing your show on air, it is one of the most surreal feelings ever.
What if we could unlock every mystery?
We're at the beginning of a revolution. That's a huge discovery.
That's never been done before, ever, anywhere.
Touchdown. No one feeds on curiosity like PBS. Give to your PBS station so future generations can keep asking, what if?
I am a chef. I cook for a living. And I think of PBS as a window to the world. That kind of place where you feel you are part of the story. I want to be part of every possible world is out there. That's when things become really amazing. And when you are able to see stories that make you wonder, makes you think, that's what really makes PBS so meaningful. And that's the kind of TV we need to be supporting today.
Big news for any of you planning a summer trip to the nation's capital.
After undergoing 2 years of repairs, the Washington Monument in D.C. is finally reopening. Cronkite News reporter Jillian Idle has the details from Washington.
You can see it from almost anywhere in the city. The tallest and one of the oldest monuments in D.C. sees an average of over 500,000 visitors each year.
Because a lot of people want to go to the top and then see this, the best view of the entire city.
Which they could do until 2011 when tours to the top abruptly stopped. Damage from an earthquake caused the monument to close and undergo years of repairs.
Customers do come and they do inquire about the monument being open. And yes, it's a bit disappointing when you come from Paris to see the monument and it's closed, but they take it well.
Now the scaffolding is down and the monument just weeks from reopening.
I'm sure people are excited about it. Even locals want to go in and see it once.
And if you're one of those wanting to see it, reservations are your best bet.
Reserving tickets is actually quite easy, and you can do it all right through the website. Enter the tour date you're looking for and the number of tickets. But just a heads up, the first week of tickets are already completely reserved.
The good news is there are other options.
Every day you can get tickets in person. It's first come, first serve. You have up to 6 tickets per adult.
But the best piece of advice for visitors starting May 12th?
Come early and with a great attitude.
In Washington, Jillian Idle, Cronkite News.
There's a tree in Arizona that lawmakers say doesn't belong here. It's using a lot of groundwater and killing off plants native to Arizona. This past week, I followed a crew into the middle of the Prescott National Forest.
You have to drive on unpaved roads, hike down a steep cliff, and cross a stream to find a quiet predator lurking in the forest. Until now. Tamarisk trees line the banks of the Verde River, and while they may look harmless, they're actually dangerous to Arizona's ecosystem.
Salt cedar is very aggressive, and it takes over areas quite easily.
And that's why the state legislature has allocated money to remove tamarisk, also known as salt cedar.
We come in with chainsaws and handsaws to eliminate it from this river system.
This invasive plant was first brought to Arizona by railroad companies to act as sound barriers and for erosion control. But now the trees have gotten out of control.
Crews from the National Park Service have been here cutting down tamarisk trees and have covered 5 miles so far.
The reason we're treating it is that it does displace a lot of native trees, a lot of native vegetation. It uses a lot of the water, outcompetes other trees.
And water conservation is a huge issue in a desert state. Lawmakers and botanists alike hope that eliminating salt cedar will help preserve the water supply and native plants here in Arizona.
Senate Bill 1478 also prohibits the state use of funds for planting mesquite trees.
Well, it's turned out to be a beautiful day once again here in the valley. That storm system that moved through the past couple of days is in the New Mexico area right now that brought some winds. But a bigger storm that we're tracking right now is this one up in the northern Pacific, which is going to make its way down to the Phoenix area this weekend, bringing some rains possibly. But our wind speeds for today have kicked up a little bit this afternoon. We're at 12 miles per hour in Phoenix. Up in Flagstaff is at 16. Prescott is at 12 as well. So it's really become a very breezy day, making temperatures around the valley quite cool right now. Taking a look at our temperatures around our neighborhoods, we're at 84 in Chandler, 82 in Mesa, and Deer Valley up over there at 83 degrees. And temperatures around the state are cool as well because of these winds. Flagstaff is at a comfortable 59 degrees. The Grand Canyon's at 57, and Bullhead City's at 81 degrees right now. And looking forward to this weekend is the 10th annual Pats Run. And as I said before, there could be some rain making its way down into the valley for this run. So you might want to bring a rain jacket or something warm just in case it does happen to rain. The high temperature for the day is going to be 76 degrees, but the race earlier in the morning might be around the 60s for that time of day. And looking at our 5-day forecast, it's going to be beautiful for the next couple of weeks. Saturday, that 20% chance of rain. And then on Thursday, Friday, we'll be in the 90s, dip down a little bit. And by Monday, we should be pretty okay for our work week ahead. And as you know, Ryan, as summer approaches, there's one place where you can go to cool off and also be with some Olympians as well.
Yeah, I heard you went out to the ice tent in Scottsdale and learned a few tricks yourself.
I learned a few tricks, but I also got to see how some of the valley's youngest skaters are getting some icy inspiration.
In the summer, the rink is the best place to be.
And Olympic hopeful Douglas Rosano has spent every summer since he was 9 training at Ice Den.
I tell people I figure skate in Arizona, and they're kind of like, whoa, thrown off.
5-year-old Jordan is starting her Ice Den tradition.
When I started ice skating, I was 3.
And since her first step onto the ice, she has looked up to Douglas. She loves watching him skate.
I like Douglas when he goes up in the air, and when he spins and then he goes up in the air.
And not only is he good on these, he even teaches beginners like me.
He tells me I really need to try on working is my spin.
Those are the technical skills. Douglas also coaches the heart.
There are going to be tough days, there are going to be great days, but push through them and don't ever quit because somebody has told you you can't do it.
It's that kind of coaching and support that may put Jordan at the top of the podium one day. It also might prepare her for life. On Skates in Scottsdale, I'm Jamie Purvis for Cronkite Sports.
So I don't know if Goran Dragic was ever as cute as that little girl, but there's no doubt he knew exactly wanted to be when he grew up. NBA award season continued today, and the Suns point guard won Most Improved Player of the Year. The Magician averaged almost 7 more points a game than last year, but while doing that, he also increased his shooting percentage from 44 to 50. He led the Suns in points, assists, minutes played, and efficiency rating. So congrats to the Dragon, and I'm sure Kirk Gibson is wondering if he can pitch. Yesterday, the D-backs played their third of 4 games against the Cubbies at Wrigley. Same story, different day. McCarthy on the mound, bottom of the 5th, and Mike Olt gets a hold of this one, and that one's going to clear the Ivy to make it 5-0. The Cubs would add 4 more in the 8th, and the D-backs lose their 4th straight game. 10 of 11 overall and drop to 5-18 on the season. Not only does that leave them with the worst record in baseball this year, but they are off to the worst start in franchise history. Just a few hours ago, I talked to John Gambadoro, co-host of Burns and Gambo on Arizona Sports 98.7, and I had to ask him, does Gibby have any job security left?
No. Gibby's job's not safe. Kevin Towers' job's not safe. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a new manager by the time they play the Phillies on Friday. This is just unacceptable baseball. A lot of people think that the team is starting to quit on Gibby, so I do expect that they'll have a new manager in place very soon.
Is this Gibby's fault?
You know, it's everybody's fault. I put most of the blame on Kevin Towers. This is the team he put together. He traded away a lot of the best prospects in the organization. No starting pitching, not a good bullpen, and no offense. So I think most of the blame falls on Kevin Towers. Gibby is managing. I think one of the things that you're seeing with Gibby is you're seeing a lot of fundamental mistakes, base running errors, and just not very good fundamental baseball. So some of it is definitely on Gibby, yes.
Is this team that we can expect all season long, or is this a mediocre team off to a bad start? Can you see any improvements?
It's a really, really bad baseball team. Really bad. Now, when they were 4-14 before they went to L.A., A lot of us in the media were saying, and people that cover this team on a regular basis like me, were saying it can't be this bad. They just can't be. There's no way they're going to play at this clip and be this bad. Well, maybe they are this bad. There are no signs that it's getting better. How bad they are is the question.
Goldschmidt is the one star this team really has, but do you see down the line that a season this bad could potentially hurt his future as a Diamondback?
No, absolutely not. I mean, he's the guy you got to build around. You're set at first base. You know you've got a dominant first baseman, one of the better players in the game, and he's locked up to a long-term contract. So you don't have to worry about trading him. He's young. He's a star. You've got to build around him.
What's the vibe in the clubhouse?
Not good. You know, when you start losing like this, it wears on guys, and it's a really, really long season. I think the thing you worry about more than anything is when a team knows they're out of it, guys start playing for themselves. They're not worried about the team thing. They're not worried about doing the little things. They're worried about their stats. How many home runs can I hit? How many RBIs can I get? I want to get my average up there. You're not looking to move runners over and get the sac fly. You're looking to swing for you because you want your numbers to be good so you can make more money. So that's always the biggest fear when you've got a team that is really bad, that guys are going to play for themselves, not play for the team.
You know, guys, they did have some good news today. They scored 5 runs in the top of the ninth and spoiled Wrigley Field's 100th birthday. Got the win.
And Aaron Hill was actually 5 for 4 today as well with the home run, so he's really turning things around.
Yeah, well, hopefully they really do turn around. Looks great. That's it for Cronkite NewsWatch tonight. Don't forget, we're always on the web. Just head to CronkiteNewsOnline.com.
While you're there, you can also now sign up for daily email headlines from all of Cronkite News. That's it. Thanks for joining us. Good night.